We ended up starting about 5 minutes too late in the morning session, so a
Okay.
recording now would be good.
Yeah, I clicked record to the cloud, so we should see 2 recordings from the same session in there. Well, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about pre-semester procedures, going over what it takes to get prepared for the next semester, whether it's fall or it's summer. We're going to be discussing some opportunity for what I would call return on investment, copying content from semester to semester, saving ourselves time in terms of course administration and setup to speed up that course facilitation process. Really just getting what we need to out of the course and ensuring that we're positioning ourselves for a successful semester. During the session, we're going to go over the Blackboard course request form. I know depending on how long you've been at the college, you may have more experience with this or not, but there are new things or changes to the Blackboard course request form every semester. So I do like to keep pointing those out. We're going to discuss copying content. There's like Blackboard and like a lot of things, there's no one way to copy content. There's a multitude of ways that you can move content from one course to another. So we're going to go over some of those opportunities. Date management and batch edit, ways that we can, again, speed along the administrative portions of our course. Not all semesters are created equal. So if you're copying a spring course to the fall, you'll need to make changes, obviously, of due dates, availability dates, and language and things like that. Even if you're copying a fall 19 to a fall 20 course, again, not all semesters are created equal. Dates change, days of the week change, when the course is being offered might change. So how to quickly make those changes, or how to set up our course so that we can more rapidly make those changes. And then finally, the enrollment of users and going over the timeline for when you can expect students to be auto-enrolled and what you can do as an instructor to maintain your own enrollments manually as well, should you, in case you do not want to rely solely on the auto-enrollments. But jumping in and getting started, I have to remind myself that my daemon is still relatively new. I know I'm on it every day, and those of us in IT were piloting what is our current My Daemon for about 3-4 months before we rolled it out campus-wide. So for me, it's kind of old habits. But then at the same time, I have to remind myself, okay, My Daemon was rolled out in October. So faculty may have only gone to Blackboard course requests through the new My Daemon once. So again, I'll just demonstrate very briefly. From My Daemon, if you're searching, and it is a dynamic search, so as you start typing, your search results populate, but the Blackboard course requests form is available. I recommend clicking the star because, again, it's very cyclical in higher ed. You may only fill this twice a year, 3 times perhaps if you're teaching during the summer or intersemester. But the Blackboard course request form, that way when you click the star, it's now located here among your favorites, which I guess if you start favoriting too many things, it no longer becomes your favorites. It's just an alphabetical list of everything My Daemon has to offer. But I click Blackboard course requests and it takes me to my dashboard. It shows me previous requests that I've put through, and I can start a new request. As I mentioned, it takes you to your dashboard first before beginning a request. On the request form, some things that are relatively new, the additional instructor was added just last fall. So what that allows you to do is first you confirm your semester. And I always encourage faculty to make sure that they confirm their semester because we're constantly running. There's at least 3 or 4 current semesters active at one time based on the multiple calendars that we offer when you can if you can request fall, you can also request summer. Same thing with once fall or once spring becomes active, we're still requesting for fall branch campus. So there's always multiple semesters. Make sure that you're choosing the one that's most appropriate. The instructor's name always defaults to me, and that's not Peter Schilke, but that's me, meaning the person who's logged into my daemon. But this can also be changed. So if you want to request the course on behalf of another faculty member, whether it's on the behalf of an adjunct or someone else is listed as the lead instructor in self-service, but you need to request that course and get working on it, you can bring up that other person. Just because I see
Peter, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
When you say that if there's two people on it and the other person's the lead, but if you have the content, if I bring it up under the other instructor, will it take it from my stuff, from my?
That's a good question. And the answer is likely no.
Okay.
Because it depends on who's the lead instructor in the course in self-service. All of this, that's a great question because that's a good point. All of this content that powers the Blackboard course request form, it gets fed in from self-service. So whoever's listed as the instructor on self-service, that's who these courses are going to populate for that individual. Okay. So these are the courses that are listed for fall 2020. Not that big of a workload, huh, Karen? But if somebody else is listed, what happens when you click yes, I want to copy content, you'll see nothing shows up now. But if I click BA 202 and I choose yes, it says it filters by only two criteria. Well, actually 3 criteria. It'll search just BA 202, only K# PR. So if a different instructor, it won't give that BA 202 as an option. And then it will only go back 3 academic years. Okay. So if there was one that you did teach, just scrolling through here.
Yeah, so 347, well, I didn't want, there was no content in there. So I didn't, and that one was clear, that came okay. So what I'm doing right now actually is I'm doing 30301. I had already exported the information. So I'm about to import it just to see how it works.
And I was gonna say, and that's perfect. That's one of the reasons. That's why I say there's more than one way, you know, to move that content over.
I'm gonna try, and then I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. Coming back up to the course information, as we were discussing, you can request it on someone else's behalf, or if it's just for me, I can see my course. You can choose this button to add an additional instructor, and you can click this as many times as you need. If you need to add admin assistants, department chairs, co-instructors, if there's clinical professors, things like that, if there's other people that need access to your course, you can add them at the time you're creating it. Of course,
but the information won't come from, like, it won't show down below that it's my
correct
content.
So,
okay.
Yes. So if I say I added you as an additional instructor, that doesn't mean that I can just go get your content now.
Right. Okay.
That would just be enrolling you as an additional instructor in the course once it's created.
So the best way for me is to export it and then import it.
Yes. Or again, we'll go over it, but we'll go over it. There's also a course copy feature where within the system, you can send it to copy without having to extract that package and then upload that package.
Okay. Thank you.
I prefer the export and the import myself rather than the course copy because it also preserves, again, that I have that zip file of the course.
Okay. I'll do one and see how it goes.
Sure.
All right. Thanks.
If the course you see is not available, you can use the manual select. So if I was scheduled to teach something else, and I'll just make up a course here, English 09501, you'll see it populate here. Sometimes if The reason it won't pop up is because in self-service it hasn't been assigned an instructor yet. So it'll just say the name of the course, and then after the hyphen it'll be blank. But you can just as easily select the radio button once you've manually selected it, and then continue the process as well. If you wanted to, for example, if I wanted to request English 9.5 and combine sections, I can do that simply by choosing both of these radio buttons. And what that does, so click the radio button, manual select if not listed. The sections will create one course for both sections and combine the enrollments from both sections. As I mentioned, we get all of the data from self-service. So if I'm a student registered in this example here in 204, and Eric Hill is a student registered in 205, but the professor requests the course be created in this fashion, we will be enrolled in the same Blackboard section. How the instructor chooses to separate that content or those individuals, and maybe they don't because they're teaching the same thing, they just might meet at different times or something like that. You can request that 2 sections be combined into one Blackboard course. Doing it through, again, through the Blackboard course request form automates that process of combining both enrollments into one auto enrollment file. So all students in 204 and all students in 205 will be put into the same Blackboard class. That's a nice way of preventing yourself from duplicate effort. If you really are giving both sections the same uniform messaging and everything, you only have to do it once. But it may or may not be the best case scenario, because you may want to, again, give those, if their course schedules are, noticeably different or things like that. If one course, as I said, not all semesters are created equal, not all courses are, with days off and holidays and things like that, your sections may not always be at the exact same spot in their semester calendar. 2 new options that are available if you choose yes, I want to copy a previous course, are our default templates, our master online template for Ultra and our master online template for Original. And again, if I go to the Blackboard course request form, I see those 2 populated. No matter what course I'm choosing, those 2 options will always be available. And I know the question, can I copy my previous content and can I copy the Ultra course template over? And the answer to that is, with this form, no. You can choose one or the other, but you're always welcome, again, to go over some of the course copy features that we're going to go over in a bit to start with one of the 2. So say I want to put my master course template in the course, and then I can later import my previous content or copy my previous content to help weave it throughout. But using the form, I can't choose 2 different courses to copy content. If it's not listed, you can go ahead and type it in. But it's also going to apply the same filters. So even though so again, if I didn't teach the course, it's not going to show up as something that's possible for me to copy the content from. Or if I'm not listed as the primary instructor, it's not going to allow me to copy that content. If the course is cross-listed, and similar to combining enrollments of multiple sections, what you're doing is you're telling Blackboard that you want to combine the enrollments from multiple listings of the course. I think it's social work and sociology are often cross-listed. So SW, I'm going to make up numbers, SW, 513 and Soc 513. They may be listed in the course catalog as two different things. Students may register for two different things depending on what their program requires of them. But ultimately, it's the same course listed as two different titles, and then, but we want both of those enrollments in one course. And this is what that cross-listed feature will do. And it will even include, it'll include it in the ID, the course ID. So say, for example, this is EDU 402, 502. So it's for both our undergraduates and our graduates. EDU 40, it'll say EDU 402-EDU 502-01. So it'll list both titles in the ID. And again, it'll enroll students from both who registered for both sections into the same Blackboard course. Once you submit the request, course requests are added to a queue. So it's not immediate. Once you request the course, the queue is cleared 3 times a day. I believe it's cleared at 12:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m., and 12:30 a.m. So whenever you request the course, the next threshold or checkpoint that's hit, that's when the course will be requested and created. But notice this, if you requested content be copied, the course is initially created blank at that next checkpoint. And then at 1 a.m. the following morning, that's when our automated process is triggered to copy all the content. And that's done intentionally at a time where Blackboard is at its lowest traffic rate. So if I requested it right now, which is 2:20 in the afternoon, at 5:30 this afternoon, my blank course will be created, but it won't be till 1 a.m. that any content that I requested be copied. I like to point that out because occasionally we do get emails that say, oh, my course was created, but the content wasn't copied. By the time I get to the email, I look at the course, I was like, yeah, it was, it's right there. And then I look at the timestamps of the email and I realize, okay, they emailed me after it was created, before the content was copied, and then by the time I got to it, the content had been copied. So again, I like to point out that timeline because neither process is immediate and both processes do happen at a different time. If you have any concerns though, I do encourage you to email blackboard@damon.edu. If you email myself or Eric, we're included in that Blackboard at Damon group, so it will go to us, but there are some things, particularly with student enrollments, the cross-listing of courses and course creation, that are better handled by Chris Pack and Christina Zatarek, who are the more behind-the-scenes Blackboard support and admin. Eric and I help with instructional support and some of that troubleshooting issues, but again, some of the actual technical support, something's broken, is best to be handled by those admins. So again, that's listed on the form, but I do like to point that out as well. Next, we'll talk about course availability, setting up your course. Once it's created, by default, courses are created and set to private. This is a relatively new change. I believe fall 2019 was the first time that we had this trigger changed. And the reason is if you have if you have a blank course or you request a course and students are already enrolled in it, they could be accessing it prior to you wanting them to. However, if you choose to copy content from a previously offered course, the new course availability will match the availability of the copied course. So if I'm requesting a course for fall, that I taught in the spring, and I copy that content, if my spring course is currently set to be available, my fall course that I'm copying the content to will also be available, will also be set to available. Because when we do that course copy at 1 a.m., what it does is it creates a completely mirror image of the course. The only thing that differs is that course ID, and that's changes it basically from spring to fall.
Peter, I have a question. If it's
Yes.
a new number,
Mhm.
a new course number, I had asked for it to be created, but there was no content in it. It didn't come over private. Is it because it's a new course number?
It didn't come as private.
No.
Okay, thank you for that feedback. I'll pass that on to Chris. We'll see. I'm not sure what the default settings are, because actually that's a good point, because I think we changed them when we auto created a lot of courses for the spring. When we made the switch, the immediate switch to online, we auto created a lot of courses, and I think we set those as available. So
Well,
students
and
weren't
this one
locked
was
out.
not one of those. I think it happened afterwards, because if I go back to the current courses, which would have been last semester, that number doesn't appear because I don't think they created it at that point. So this is like really new.
Okay, I'll
Just-
take a look at that.
just so
Yeah.
you know.
Okay, so to copy content, again, if you're using the course request form, the content will be copied at 1 a.m. following your request. If you need to copy either additional content or the course you wanted wasn't available to copy, in Blackboard Original, there's a course copy feature under Packages and Utilities in the Course Management menu, where you basically push content from where the content is to a destination course. And I describe it like that because Ultra, I'm not sure why Blackboard insists on doing this to themselves and all of us, but in Ultra, it works the exact opposite. In Original, you go to the source course where all the information is, and you push it to the destination course. And it doesn't have to be the entire course. So you'll see here, it has items from the navigation menu, homepage, get started, week 1, week 2. It doesn't have to be the entire course. So if you have rubrics in certain courses that you want to move to other courses, you can just choose to move those rubrics. If there's a particular week or module in one course that you want to add to another course as supplemental or as review, I usually say, like, if you're teaching sequential courses, one course's final exam is a great, another course's pretest to kind of see where they are and you know, where that gap analysis is in terms of what they should know coming into the class and what they do know. So keep that in mind, that even if you're not doing a complete, you know, course for course swap of the course, you can use this course copy feature to take elements from an existing course and move it over. Even if it's something like an announcement, you created a really strong welcome announcement. You took time to craft it. You gave thorough directions as to where the students could be or where the students need to navigate to and things like that. And you want to copy that to another course to deploy it, you can do that as well. Sometimes it works cleaner than the copy paste feature, but this will move all announcements in the course too. So if you're timing announcements, you know, this is going to be announced at week 1, this is going to be announced at week 2, this is going to be announced at week 3, you can move over multiple at once. In Ultra, you go to the course that you want to copy the material into, and you pull the content from the course that contains that content. So again, Original, you're pushing the content, and in Ultra, you're pulling the content. And there's 2 different ways to do the same feature. By clicking the plus sign, there's copy content, or by clicking the course content menu and choosing copy content, you'll get this same copy content panel. And again, just like our itemized in Original, not sure why I'm logged out here. Hopefully my one login session is still active. Now I know why. I'm in the test environment. Took me way too long to figure that out. Here we go. So in my Ultra course, if I'm going to copy content, it lists all the courses or organizations that are currently in Ultra. I can choose a course, for example, my master course template, and I can pull things in bulk, or I can more granularly open a folder and pull out individual items, and I can place those in my course. One thing that I like to point out is that folders can be opened and I can take items out of it. Modules cannot. They're all or nothing deals, which is one of the reasons why for our master course template, Eric and I chose to go with folders to give us that more granular opportunity. But again, with the modules, if you do want to copy a module over from Ultra Course to Ultra Course, again, that's an all or nothing deal. But once it's brought over, if you need to delete anything extra, you can. But I'll just give an example. So if I pull in my Start Here folder and I copy that content, I get my spinning purple status. It usually doesn't take too long, but again, it does depend on the size and the amount of content you're pulling in, as well as the amount of traffic on Blackboard at the time. But usually that doesn't. And there's my Start Here folder. And I can open it up and I can see those items. So that's the course copy feature in Ultra. The other opportunity is the import, well, first export and then import feature. But what you can do is you can zip entire courses as export files, and then you can import them into a new shell, and it'll bring over all the settings, or at least the settings that you chose. In Ultra, it's an all or nothing deal. It will copy all the course settings, gradebook settings, rubrics, tests, pools, discussions, all of that stuff. In Original, does give you that little more granular opportunity to decide what you want to bring over and what you want to leave behind. But that is the export and import feature. This is also useful if individuals work at multiple institutions and that other institution happens to have Blackboard, something that you have the rights and permission to move, you can do that through the import and export feature as well. The next topic, this one is really, again, I love using the term return on investment. Maybe that's because I have a business and marketing education background. But we spend so much time, especially this semester, preparing these items, and we want to think sustainability. How can I continue to benefit from the time it took to make some of these quality opportunities? Even if it's, I created some online remote instruction materials, and now I'm going to use them to flip my classroom, or now I'm going to use them as supplemental resources in my face-to-face. This date management batch edit is one of the most powerful tools that I think Blackboard has to offer. And there are some, and I say this in every presentation I give because I'm never going to forget this professor that I worked with at a different institution. He had been teaching for on Blackboard for about 10 years, and in one of my trainings, I went over date management, and he got physically and verbally upset that he did not know about this feature sooner. That he went on about all the wasted hours and wasted clicks that went into preparing his course semester over semester, having not known that this existed. And I felt for a moment that he was upset with me because it was, like I said, his demeanor immediately changed. But then I remind myself, I was like, I'm helping him. Now he's better off. But it didn't feel like that in the room. But this is date management. You can adjust all course dates in your course with a few clicks, and you can do it by a number of different things. You can do it by course start date. You can do it by a concrete number of days, or you can manually run a report and see on one screen or a series of screens all the course dates associated with your course. And what do I mean by course dates? Karen, is there a course that you have that I might be able to run a date management on, just as a demonstration?
I don't have anything over yet. I mean, from
Okay.
this past semester.
Sure.
But
Is there something that you have a lot of due dates assigned in?
yeah, 303-01. So if you go into content, that's where all the folders are that has everything.
Okay. Okay, good. I see you have availability dates in here as well. And then what date management allows us to do is, again, if I were to copy this over to the fall, I can adjust every availability date, whether it's availability start, availability end, or due date, based on a few different things. I can click, okay, when are the dates currently set to? And this was the spring semester, so the first day was, I think, was Martin Luther King Day the 20th, so the 22nd was our first day of classes, and then our new semester will start on September 9th. And then if I were to click start, and I'm not going to do that because this is your current course, if I were to click start, what it's going to do is it's going to adjust every date in your course. So it's going to basically say, okay, if something became available on 1/23, which is one day after the start date, now it's going to become available on 9/10, which is one day after the start date, and so on. So if something became available in week 2 on 1/30, it's going to become available on week 2, which would be, oh boy, 8 days, 9/17. So it automatically adjusts that thing. But not only does it adjust it, but it immediately sends you to this screen where I'm just going to run the date review. After it adjusts it, it shows you a screen of all the adjusted dates in your course. And if something's off, I can click the pencil, make the change, and accept it and move on. So I can change all of my, and like I said, anything that there is a date. So I encourage faculty to assign due dates to as many things as can be assigned due dates, because that way you can change them using this feature in the future. If you're just clicking edit and changing the title of the assignment, or you're editing it in the description of the assignment, you're still going to have to go in there and click edit and change that manually. But all of these can be adjusted in batch. Like I said, if I were to have made that change, all of these would have automatically adjusted and then allowed me to review them. So I can look at a calendar and say, okay, will this actually need to start on again, now it's February 4th, let's say September 17th, and I can make that edit. I can sort by different things. So, okay, here's all my content folders. I can sort these and I can quickly set these. Okay, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and boom, I can set these dates very quickly.
What flavor of tea do you want, babe?
I can sort my tests. So when am I going to give my midterm? When am I going to give my final? And you know, quickly set those dates. You can also do it by type. Here's all my availability dates. Here's all my due dates. And as you see, I have multiple things filtering at the same time. So very powerful tool. As you see, there's 29 items that have dates assigned to them, and I can edit them all from one screen, or in this case, because I do need a second screen to view them, I can do it from 2 screens. But a lot easier than if I were to scroll through the content and say, okay, I need to change this availability date and click edit. So that's date management. That's why I like pointing this out, because if we don't assign things dates, we can't edit them later. But if we do assign things dates, as you see, we can set them here. Even if end dates are after the course ends, so if we set June 1st to all of these dates, we can at least have that control over it later on. Any questions on date management? How about some thumbs up, thumbs down? Have we used date management before, or is this new for us?
Peter, this is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, I just realized that I come into this a little differently than my Zoom meetings, so didn't realize I had to unmute down there. Because I've been talking to you the whole time.
I'm sorry.
Too funny. Anyway, I just wanted to ask, do you recommend that the dates need to be in a particular place in your course? Because I think in our course, sometimes the due dates are part of the discussion under a weekly module, but not in the title of the weekly module. So do you have a recommendation?
In terms of, again, if we're talking sustainability, and I know different departments will and different people, instructors have different schools of thoughts on this. I like to use the settings of my assignments to give the due date. So if there's a due date on a quiz, see this quiz, there's a due date on the quiz, I will assign it using the assignment or the quiz or the discussion settings. That does a few things. It allows me to edit it here. If you put it in the title of the assignment, again, every semester you offer it, you need to go back and physically edit that title, which is sometimes asking a lot to remember every single one that you need to change. The other thing that adding a due date does is if a student were to go to their calendar, it shows due dates on so if they had, you could see here all the courses that I'm enrolled in, it shows their due dates on their calendar if they have due dates set in the assignment. If the due date is just in the description, on the syllabus, or in the title of the assignment, Blackboard doesn't know to move it over here. So students can set up their activity stream to tell them, you have, and I probably have a lot of overdues because these are all courses that I'm not actually a student in, but you, okay, buddy, I'll be right there, okay? So that's why I really encourage you to use the built-in settings, because it'll notify students you have a due date coming up, or uh-oh, you missed a due date. You're 1 day past due on this assignment.
Right.
But like I said, and it color codes it by each course that they have. The same color that's highlighted here is the same one that's on their courses list associated with that course.
So Peter's in original, is that also, are you talking about the same place where the date gets added to the grading column?
It could be set in the grading column, or if I'm in an original course and I'm creating an assignment right here on due date, If I set it for May 28th at 2:43, which is a very random
Okay.
time to have something due, sample due date. Submit. Oh, I need points. That's right. 100 points.
Yeah, this is helpful. I think in our team, it varies whether people put the assignments in the assignment tab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of times it's just in the discussion.
Sample due
Um,
date. And
yeah.
it shows me right there, P. Schilke admin course, sample due date assignment is due. Students can click on it in their calendar and it take them to the assignment.
Oh, nice.
I love the use of due
Thank
dates.
you.
And the nice thing about it is a due date never prevents a student from submitting something. It can for a test, but for an assignment, it still allows them to submit it late. It just puts in bold and in parentheses late. And that's up to you as the instructor what you want to do with that. But
Okay.
ultimately, we still want the students to submit it. We still want to give them feedback. But it doesn't, again, that due date it's not a hard deadline. Like if 2:43 hits and someone's trying to hand it in at 2:50, it's still going to let them. It's just going to indicate to me that it was beyond that due date.
Peter,
Okay.
Yes.
it's Susan Dunkel. Real quick question, sir. For the students' calendars, the assignments will show up. Is there any way we could get that to show up on our Google Calendar? Or do we have a calendar for
That's a good question.
I don't believe there's a sync or an integration between Google Calendar and Blackboard Calendar. No.
Okay.
This is something I build in for my undergrad ed students into the course that I teach. I show them this feature. I show them the difference when I'm creating an assignment. Here's this one shows up and here's why, and this one doesn't show up and here's why. That's also part of our curriculum in that particular class. We all set up Google Classrooms and they work on it too. But it's, it's something that if you at the beginning of the course say, due dates are assigned to all required activities, be sure to check your calendar in Blackboard for those due dates. That might be all the communication it takes to get them, used to, this particular feature. And the other cool thing is, see how I have my calendar and I have it set on schedule right now? I can toggle it to day, I can toggle it to month. I can also just view a list of all of my due dates. Again, I'm not a student in classes, but I can just say due dates.
Okay.
Here's all my due dates for this semester.
So me as a professor, can I open any of my classes and look at a calendar and see all the due dates or just the due dates for that class?
If you, that's a good question. So if I go to my calendar in my universal menu right here, I'm going to see the calendar for every single class that I'm enrolled in, which is a whole lot. If I go into my particular course, there is a calendar in every course as well that will show the due dates just for that course.
Okay,
in
so
an
I
assignment, new test.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So I can just go into my universal calendar in Blackboard and see everything coming up.
Mm-hmm. For your
You rock.
courses, both as a student, as an instructor. Easy for me to say.
That is so cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, that is if we set the due dates, because I know not everyone, for a variety of reasons, chooses to or chooses to not set those due dates. It's just one of the things that I encourage because it takes advantage of some of the more advanced functionality and features. And it doesn't really prohibit us, meaning it doesn't really, yes, a student might submit it late and it'll indicate that it's late, but it's not going to reject their submission or anything like that.
Peter, in original, where is the calendar for the particular class, not all the classes?
In original, if you have the home screen up, or the home page, it'll have the to-do list, but I'm not sure if it's still a tool link. So if I go to underneath all course tools, it's available.
Okay.
Course calendar. Students don't have
Gotcha.
access to the course tools though. So if you want your students to have access to it, it's the plus sign in the menu, tool link, calendar, and I got to name it something.
So you need to create one of those every semester for each class so that your students will see it?
Or it's also, see here, there's tools here. So
Uh-huh.
if tools is in your menu, calendar is one of the tools that is available as
Oh,
well.
okay.
This
Gotcha.
tool link just creates a shortcut in your menu if you want to send them directly there. Like I usually create one for my grades,
Okay.
so they don't have to go in through the tool link to get to my grades. But again, that's at the individual's discretion.
Okay.
Again, I can do it by the day, week, month. I can see all the due dates coming up for, and here's where they can actually select what courses they want to see or what courses they don't want to see. Similar to like our Google Calendar, where what calendars we want to view. I got to get going because it's 2:50, but this was an awesome kind of side a tangent we went on. The similar, so that was batch edit or date management in original. In Ultra, it's a very similar functionality that is called batch edit. So real quickly, I'll go into, I'm not sure I have anyone with due dates set, but I'll still show you what I mean by it. In our course content menu here, again, where import and export and copy can be found, we also have batch edit. And it does a very similar, where it lists all the items in my course, shows me the due date, show date, hide date, and what the current visibility is. If I select one of them, I can come down here to options and say what I want to change. Do I want to edit the dates associated with it, or do I want to edit the universal visibility? Visible, hidden. And I can do this for all items in my course in batch. So if I want to make everything hidden at once, I can. If I want to make everything visible, I can. So this can be done in, again, by clicking the radio buttons. You see, I can add dates to things that don't have dates. At least I can't in original. Edit dates for learner intro. I can. So in Ultra, you can add dates where there are not existing dates. In original, you'll actually have to go. Oh no, I see. It's asking to change the dates based on a time criteria. So if I come in here and I edit the dates, got it. But this is where, again, I can do it in batch. I can see all three of these things are hidden. I can come here and make all three of these things visible. They're now visible to students. So again, just another way to reduce the clicks, to reduce the time spent from semester to semester, turning it over from fall to spring or fall 19 to fall 2020. Finally, students are auto-enrolled in courses the week before classes start. This is done because enrollment is a one-way, it's a one-way street. We push them from self-service into Blackboard, but if they drop a course, we don't take them out of Blackboard. Blackboard is removing a student from a Blackboard course is considered destructive, meaning any interaction they've had with that course, once they're removed, is lost. So we're very careful about not removing students from rosters. Even if they are, sometimes they may switch from section 01 to 02 because a seat opened up or Maybe it got balanced. I know in online programs, if one section has 24 students enrolled and one section has 5, they're going to try to balance those out, or eliminate one and shove the other 5 in another one. So sometimes a student could potentially be enrolled in 2 of the same classes. But we try to, again, limit the amount of times we take students out of courses, because again, it is considered destructive when we do that. Instructors can enroll users manually, and that's by, in Original, well, we'll start in Ultra because I'm already here, but in Ultra, they can go to the roster, simply hit the plus sign, and start typing away. You can do it by username. You can do it by first name, last name, anything in the user index, and you can find who you're looking for. This in Ultra, I don't know if people have tried to enroll. Why can't I find you, Karen? So again, I don't know if you've tried to enroll people in Original, but Ultra is much more streamlined. Again, plus sign, search their name, click the plus sign. Once you click the plus sign, it'll ask you what role you want to give them, instructor, student, or other. In Original, it's a little bit more cumbersome, but you can still use the search feature. So if you come down to users, find users to enroll. If you know their username, you can just type in their username. Their username is the same thing as their Damon email, but without the @damon.edu at the end. That's probably the most common misuse or a point of confusion with the enroll users, is faculty will try to enroll a student with their email address, and then it says that student doesn't exist. But if you use just their username, it's the same thing as their email address without the domain at the end, without @damon.edu. You can click browse and use either the username, first name, last name, search. So again, if I search for Karen, I can find Karen, and then it'll add the username to the field. And that's where I can choose the role and click enroll. You can do multiple, separated by commas. And again, I'm not going to enroll you in my admin course, but if I wanted to, submit, there you are, and removed. So you can do that ahead of time if you want to enroll students more than that 1 week prior. If you want to give them an opportunity, maybe you only have the syllabus available or a welcome message available. You want to give them that, that leg up. I know faculty are considering starting and communicating early with students come fall, because they're worried about the amount of time on-prem we'll have if we have a uptick in COVID again and we end up going remote at the end of fall. This is how you would enroll users. You can also enroll additional instructors. It does not let you, this is an interesting point. If you're an instructor, you can enroll an instructor, but you cannot remove an instructor. But what you can do is I can enroll this instructor, and it will let me remove Mary because I have admin access to Blackboard, but an instructor, it will not let, a faculty member, it will not let you remove an instructor. What it will let you do is change your user's role though. So what you can do is you can select that individual. You could change their role in the course to a student, and it will let you remove a student. So I'm not really sure why it lets you change the role but not remove the user, because it just takes 2 extra clicks. You can kick them out of there anyway. But you know, again, for whatever reason, there's that that slight limitation that with a little critical thinking doesn't limit you. All of this information, or at least the cliff notes of this information, is available on that pre-semester procedures document. This instructional design does email out periodically throughout the academic year. You could see that there's links. A lot of the stuff we talked about is listed on here. There's some additional stuff that we have not, but there's links to additional resources, date management and batch edit. So if you wanted to learn a little bit more about those, there's the specific Blackboard knowledge base about what batch edit has to offer, a quick video on it, again, some description of what each might mean. And as always, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to book an appointment with either Eric or myself. This presentation will be emailed out shortly after we're done today, and you can, like I said, reserve an appointment. Our names hyperlink to our appointment calendars. You can reserve any spot that's not currently taken. If you email id@damon.edu, that'll go to myself and Eric, as well as our recently hired instructional designer, Angela Stockman, who we're very rapidly onboarding and getting her up to date with Blackboard, Quality Matters, and all the fun Damon-related instructional design materials. That's 3 o'clock on the dot. Are there any questions before we take off? I'm not kicking anyone out or anything like that, but I do want to be cognizant of everybody else's time. I'm happy to stick around and field any questions. Otherwise, thank you for attending, and hope you found the session valuable.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thanks.